restoring mobility to the area. See a chiropractor the next time you have pain in your joints. It's wonderful to
enjoy the game. It's on us.
The St. Louis football Cardinals played their home games in Bush Memorial Stadium. The Cardinals are about to play their home opener, but there will be no football game in St. Louis tonight. The Cardinals have moved to Phoenix, Arizona, a sun-splashed frontier metropolis that's on the move and on the rise. A valley with a population that grows by 60,000 each year. A city with big-time aspirations on all fronts, including Major League sports. The Phoenix Suns of the NBA have been a thriving franchise since 1968. And now the National Football League comes to Phoenix as the first NFL regular season game ever in the state of Arizona is minutes away. The Cardinals' new home is Sun Devil Stadium on the campus of Arizona State University in Tempe, Arizona, just outside Phoenix. 70,000 plus are here tonight for this Arizona first. And while the sun is still with us and the temperature remains in the 90s, there's an air of anticipation and excitement. The Cards share their stage tonight with their NFC Eastern Division rivals, the Dallas Cowboys. And that means they share that stage with Herschel Walker. Herschel Walker is a one-of-a-kind football player who represents perhaps football's most complete offensive weapon. Walker combines the speed of a world-class sprinter with the power of a weightlifter and the grace and artistry of a dancer. The Cowboys' hopes for a return to NFL prominence rest with number 34. The Cardinals' hopes for a successful home opener rest with stopping number 34. Tonight, for the first time ever, an NFL regular season game from Arizona, the Dallas Cowboys and the Phoenix Cardinals. They are ready for football here in Arizona. The Phoenix Cardinals and the Dallas Cowboys. 70,000 plus on hand. The sun is still out. The temperature in the high 90s. It'll be a warm evening. This ABC Sports exclusive is being brought to you by Miller Brewing Company, sole sponsor of the U.S. Olympic Training Centers. By Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? And by Kellogg's Frosted Flakes, the taste adults have grown to love. They're great. Hello again, everyone. I'm Frank Gifford, and welcome to NFL football in Phoenix. The Phoenix Cardinals and the Dallas Cowboys. Both of these two teams lost their openers, and they come in tonight 0-1. They were 7-8 a year ago, and it could have been that the Cardinals might have gone to the playoffs had they won the last football game of the season. They did not. They lost 20-16 to the Dallas Cowboys, and there have been many great games played between these two teams. And quite honestly, these two teams figure to trail the Redskins and the Giants in their NFC Eastern Division. But they have put on some great shows in the past, and we're looking forward to one tonight. It's a bit of a homecoming, if you will, for my two colleagues, Al Michaels and Dan Deerdorf. Al, of course, attended Arizona State University. Dan played 13 years for the Cardinals in, well, their glory days, the glory years, the two of them, I might add. Dan, but Al, did you ever realize to get this many people together for your homecoming?
Well, it's terrific being back, and especially since they've expanded the stadium. It used to be around 37,000, now it's 72,000. Greatest thing about being back, though, is getting even with the old profs who called for tickets today.
The bad news as far as that's concerned, Al, is they gave us a copy of your transcript.
Oh, yeah, this from the fine student athlete at Michigan.
It's odd. The Phoenix Cardinals, it's going to take a while for that to settle in with me.
I said you're an alumnus. Perhaps they should have brought your real university here. They might have played a little better, Dan. Michigan.
They may have had a better chance of beating the Cowboys.
Okay, the Dallas Cowboys, quite honestly, they feel that they have a shot. They were 7-8 a year ago. The year before that, they were 7-9. 2 losing seasons, but they put together a whole lot of big people. And they got one guy, his name is Herschel Walker. He does things extraordinarily well.
He's the key to their offense, but I think the other key, as we talked about during preseason, Frank, is Steve Pallure, their new quarterback, the new #1 quarterback. He did a lot of things last week that they loved, but he made 2 critical mistakes at the end of the game. They were driving for what could have been a game-winning touchdown or at least a game-tying field goal. He called the wrong formation in the huddle. Everybody went left. He went right, exacerbated it by throwing an interception. And later, when they got the ball back, he took an unneeded sack, which took them out of makeable field goal range. So I'm not sure how many more mistakes Steve Pallure has in his bank account. And if Landry goes to the bullpen, so to speak, early tonight, won't that be a scenario? Because the man he would go to is 36-year-old Danny White. Danny White grew up here, was a big star at Arizona State, and so he'd be coming home in an enemy uniform, so to speak. The enemy being the Phoenix Cardinals. The Phoenix Cardinals. It'll take some getting used to. They're a team like Dallas that lost a very tough game last week.
Yeah, really, Al, against Cincinnati. They're on the goal line, 1st and goal on 2 separate occasions. They take 8 whacks at it and don't get in the end zone, and thus they lose the ball game. The Phoenix Cardinals have their fair share of good football players, guys like Neil Lomax and Roy Green and Louis Sharp and all of it. Primarily, they're on the offensive team, which means defensively, are they going to be able to stop Herschel Walker and the Dallas Cowboys tonight? I'd look for a high-scoring ball game. The other thing the Cardinals have to deal with tonight is the pressure. A great deal of pressure is on this ball club to win. These fans, 70,000 strong tonight, are paying enormous money to watch this football game tonight, and for that money, they expect to win.
And tonight, well, late afternoon, actually, and early evening with the sun still shining, but most of the field encased in shadow right now. And even though the temperature is close to 100 degrees, it's dry, and it doesn't feel nearly the way it would were at 100 degrees in the Midwest. As the Cardinals take on the Cowboys. So regular season football for the first time ever in Arizona. The team did play a couple of preseason games here at Sun Devil Stadium. And in the past, there have been several games here in this stadium featuring National Football League teams in exhibition play. But now it's for real, and the Dallas Cowboys will receive St. Louis to kick off. Al Del Greco, who was released by Green Bay and then picked up by St. Louis to kick off for the Cardinals, and back deep to receive Darryl Clack and Kelvin Martin. Clack on the near side, Martin on the far side. And so the crowd, with the noise building, anticipating the first ever NFL game for real in the state of Arizona. And we're underway as Del Greco sends it to Clack with a burst of fireworks and balloons ascending in the background. He takes it out to the 22-yard line. Normally, they do that before the game. They released the balloons just as the ball went into the air. And there they are.
Well, I thought Del Greco really put the toe to the ball. I thought he broke it.
Yeah, it sounded like it.
A little distracting.
So here is Pallure. Last week, as you can see, the numbers were good. They'll take that. But the two critical mistakes at the end of the game, and Pittsburgh wound up winning it. So Pallure, and of course he has Walker as the main man in the backfield, and Herschel will line up all over the place. Newsom is the other running back. Martin and Irvin are the wideouts. Cosby is the tight end. Pallure to Newsom, and he's taken out of bounds at the 26-yard line. Leonard Smith. The offensive line now for Dallas, where they have tried to beef up over the last couple of years. Tuanay, Newton, well over 300 pounds, the veteran Rafferty, Kerr, and Gogan, who comes back from a 30-day drug suspension. He tested positive for marijuana. Didn't play last week, though he was eligible, and he suits up tonight and gets into the starting lineup. 2nd and 7. And Herschel Walker, with not much room over the left side, picks up a yard or two. It'll be 3rd and about 5 coming up. The Cardinal defense, and it's very suspect, especially up front. The line with Nunn, Clasby, Albert, and Sadler. Nunn, of course, drafted as a linebacker and then moved to the left end spot. Bell, Noga in the middle, and E.J. Jr. are the backers. And the key man there is Leonard Smith, the strong safety. But an interesting story, McDonald goes to free safety, and Lonnie Young, who was a safety, goes to corner for the first time in his career. And there he is, Tim McDonald, out of USC. Meanwhile, Dallas has to take a timeout this early in the game, and Landry, who was still steaming after what took place last Sunday in Pittsburgh, can't be a happy man right now as Pelluer has to take a timeout on the first drive.
Oh, you hate to see this early on, and particularly with all the problems that grew out of that missed call that Al spoke of last week. The Cowboys honestly felt they threw the game away against Pittsburgh, and you touched on it, Al. It was a play sent in on a timeout, Silver right, Fireman 37, and when Pelluer got back to the huddle, he just translated it to Fireman 36, and if you know anything about this game, that just flips everything around. And interestingly enough, is Herschel Walker and Newsom, who talked it over, they didn't say anything to Pelluer. They just changed the formation. All of a sudden, Pelluer rolled out. He had nobody with him and threw the interception from inside the 5-yard line that they feel cost him the game. And now he comes out and is slow getting the play out. It has to make you think.
Well, I think a couple completions in a row, a good touchdown drive, and a win tonight will put Steve Pelluer right back where he started. And I think Tom Landry has made his decision that Pelluer is the guy that he wants to quarterback this team in the years ahead. Now, Danny White may be a very short-term measure, but he's certainly not the long-term answer at his age. Steve Pelluer is the guy. There's Danny White on the sidelines, and I don't know what's going through his head being back here at Sun Devil Stadium and not playing.
Third down, 5 from the 27-yard line. Pelluer protected well, goes deep, looks for Walker, has it picked off at the 34-yard line by Tim McDonald. So the Cardinals make the change in the secondary, and we just discussed McDonald going in, taking Lonnie Young's spot, with Young going to the corner, and McDonald out of USC picks it off after the timeout as the Cowboys pick up where they left off last Sunday.
McDonald knew he was on the spot. He was the new man out there, untested, so to speak, at the cornerback. Great collegiate career at safety. Never much time at the corner, however, and he played it absolutely perfect. Walker with that great speed was back there. Pelluer underthrew the ball, and up goes McDonald with the interception. That was a badly thrown ball.
It was a little bit underthrown, and that's the reason for the interception, but I think good defensive position by McDonald that time.
Stump Mitchell carries, breaks a tackle at the line of scrimmage, and moves forward for a yard or so to the 37 as we take a look at the Phoenix offense. And it's still Neil Lomax coming off a good year. Lomax last week against Cincinnati, not a bad day, but as Dan discussed early on, those two critical situations where they couldn't punch it in. And that was the difference in the game. Mitchell had a big game. Farrell is the fullback. Smith and Green are the wideouts, and Ewald, the fine receiving tight end. Second down and 9. Phoenix from the 37-yard line. And with Ewald in motion, Lomax looks Ewald's way, sees he's covered, and then throws it off the fingertips of J.T. Smith as he goes back to the other side. It'll be third down and 9.
That's the kind of a play with that kind of protection that Neil Lomax just can't afford to overthrow. His offensive line that time gave him superb time up front, and a good look at that group. Sharp, Pete, Kennard, Smith, and Robbins. Anytime you give a quarterback 5 seconds like Neil Lomax had there, he ought to complete the ball. And Smith made a nice move to the sideline, simply an overthrown pass.
Third down and 9.
This club would really like, Al, I think, to get something positive early in this ball game to get this 70,000 crowd behind them, because I think they may turn on them if they get behind.
4 wide receivers and out of the shotgun. And Lomax juggles the snap, but recovers and then throws, and no penalty. Novacek was wrapped up by Charles Wright. It was close. Wright, second-year back out of Tulsa, who comes in the dime defense, had him wrapped up, incomplete. So fourth down, Kelvin Martin drops back, and Greg Horn out of Arkansas. He was drafted by the Bengals, waived by them. And now kicking for the Cards. He stands at his own 23-yard line to take the snap, which is a good one. And the kick comes over to the near side.